So I should remind everybody that the 5 pillars of bliss are bravery, laughter, inspiration, spark and success. So we're going to take you through those pillars with your life. So the first one is B for bravery. So can you pinpoint a moment in your life that stands out as your bravest?
I know, I've been thinking about these questions. To be honest, getting out of bed every morning involves a bit of bravery. I think anything where I've had to get out of my head, get in tune with what I really want, and follow it through. So, taking my black belt, competing with kickboxing, to stand there in front of someone knowing you're going to get punched in the face is beyond bravery. But then equally, I think standing up on stage doing stand-up comedy, as you well know, everyone keeps saying to me, "Oh, you're so brave, you're so brave," But actually, I think bravery comes from, like I said before, just knowing what you want to do. Not what you want to do, what like your soul is screaming out for you to do. And that's the intuitive coaching bit, is the tuning into what your soul actually wants and not what your head wants and not what you think everybody else around you wants.
Yeah, well, I think that's true because I went to a really good networking event the other week, and she got us to think about when we feel most comfortable in our lives and we feel the most confident before we started networking, because obviously people get very nervous, don't they? Go, oh, I've got to talk to a stranger and what am I going to say? And the first thing that popped into my mind was on a stage with a microphone. That's where I feel comfortable. I feel at home. Like all my anxiety goes away. But if people don't do it, they think that that's crazy, don't they?
Exactly. Whereas I think bravery, I would never, ever, ever do a bungee jump or probably jump out of an aeroplane. I just that is. So I don't know. I think bravery is different for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I didn't actually say in your introduction are you still a double black belt going for your third belt?
I am going for my third, and I'm a bit concerned about when I get my third black belt that I'll have to cut out the really funny bit in my set.
Yeah, you can lie.
Just make it up.
Yeah, that'd be fine. So what are your first 2 black belts in?
So they're all Chinese kickboxing.
Right.
The first one is just your first degree, and then the second one was more like groundwork and like takedowns and stuff like that. And then the third will be weapons.
Weapons.
It is weapons. Yeah. So broadswords, butterfly knives.
Right.
It looks so beautiful.
So you do all
all the forms.
All the forms.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love it.
I love it. I do.
And might come in handy at some comedy gigs with the
never
hecklers.
Know. Exactly. Comes in handy, like in my own home, frankly, with 3 children.
Yeah. Yeah, how is that, juggling everything?
With nightmare.
A nightmare.
My voice, it's a nightmare.
So that's where some bravery comes in, of the getting out of the bed, is knowing what you've got to face
Yeah, you
each
just
day.
don't know what you're going to, you never know. As I said to you before, I was on the way here, got a phone call from my son's school because he's in a bit of trouble.
It never ends, does it?
It doesn't.
My kids are teenagers and we still get calls, so
yeah.
I don't know at what age it will end. I don't know if they're going to ring up from their job, like their boss will be like, "Oh, can you come and pick so up?"
I think they will, because I will still be phoning my parents. In fact, I remember I was at work and shall I share this story? So somebody had gone off on this jolly holiday, and as she'd gone, and we were like, oh, it was like trip of a lifetime, all this, and I'd said, he obviously said, goodbye and have a nice time, and I had this flash of her funeral. And I was like, well, that's a bit weird. And she died on holiday.
Oh my God.
As any self-respecting at the time, mid-20-year-old, I phoned my mum. I said, Mum, the other is... And do you know what she said? She went, oh, you've got it too. I've got what? What? I know. So yeah, I don't think my children will ever stop phoning me to get out of trouble.
So you have some intuition, obviously.
Well, exactly.
And that runs in the family, it seems.
But it was always, we could always chat about it. And I loved anything to do with witches.
Yeah.
Sabrina. Do you remember Pongwiffy?
Oh, no.
Yeah, Kate Amansky, her books. Oh, they were so funny.
I know. I'm the grot bags era. That was probably my first witch. But, yeah. And Sabrina, definitely.
You're only a couple of years older than me.
I know.
Yeah, I remember grot bags as well. But yeah, I always loved it, and I loved everything like that. And my mum would talk about, she used to see, there was a chap sat in a chair at her sister's house that every time she went, he was there. And yeah, weird stuff like that. But it was always just kind of okay in our house. But like I said, but society just sort of, I don't know, you just kind of gets battered out of you. But that's one thing I will say about social media, is it's been brilliant, because then you do find your community of the woo-woo people, which is how I then got into coaching.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you that, because obviously you haven't been a coach all your life.
Not at all.
So what made you become a life coach? Was there some big life change that happened, or or what got you into it?
Well, yeah, that's like you say, I haven't always been a life coach. If you'd sat me down, probably even in my other job, pre-children, we're like, yeah, one day you'll tell people how to live their lives. I'm like, really? Look at this. So I had way too many children, although I was only on my second at this point. I had total meltdown, and I just thought, oh my gosh, I've got this, I need help. And I tried all sorts of, like Reiki, I tried homeopathic remedies, I tried anything and everything. The only thing I've never tried is hypnotherapy.
Right.
And I don't know why.
No, I did go for hypnotherapy, but they said, this really laugh, they said, I can hypnotise you, but it might mean you're not gay anymore. And I was like, I'm not sure that's true. So,
What?
I know, isn't that the weirdest thing you've ever heard? So I was like, you're all right, I'll stick with my gayness and cope with everything else, thanks. So, yeah.
What? Did they elaborate?
I don't know. Well, obviously everything's always your mum's fault, isn't it? Even with the hypnotherapy. But yeah, that was what he said. And I think at the time I was very young. I was suffering from bad anxiety, lost my confidence with some things that had happened at work, which is why I'd went. And yeah, that's what he said to me. And I was like, nah, you're all right. I'll stay as I am. But
Yeah.
I've never. I should look into it. I don't know whether, because to me, people are born with the sexuality that they are, and it is
Yeah.
a spectrum.
Yeah.
It changes over life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was a really odd thing. So I've stayed away from it. I've been hypnotised like at student unions and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. When they come round and do it. But
Yeah.
yeah. But we digress. You were saying about.
I've got
all
so
the-
many questions.
I know.
So
We'll do a
many
spin-off
questions.
episode.
We're
for
gonna have
that, yeah.
to. So my question was, how did I become a life
Yeah.
coach?
So you tried
Yeah.
everything.
I tried everything,
Yeah.
and then I saw an advert. In fact, no, there was a chance discussion at a playgroup once about this other lady that I was chatting to, and she'd been seeing this business coach, but she was also a life coach. And so I looked her up on Instagram, and there was an advert for her workshop that said something along the lines of like, release your inner woo-woo. And I thought, oh, yes.
So you were always woo-woo.
I was always
yeah.
woo-woo, but kind of like low-key woo-woo, didn't
Yeah.
really sort of necessarily admit it.
Embrace
didn't,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just didn't really not even understand it. I don't even know. Just sort of, it was just there, but I was also miserable
Yeah.
with the job I was doing. But equally, I wanted to get into professional sports, and I got into professional sports, and I was like, this is really shit.
Yeah. Sometimes your dream isn't what you think it's
yeah.
going to be when you get it. Is
And I
it?
really struggled with that, and I had debilitating migraines, just daily migraines. And I look back now, and I just used to like trudge into work, and some days I'd even wear a certain pair of shoes because they made like the least noise on the carpet because of my head. I just think, what was I doing? Anyway, so I needed to sort my shit out, and yeah, I went and released my inner woo-woo, and then that was it.
That was it.
And
The
I
genie
thought,
was out of the bottle.
well, she was. And then I learned all the energetic practices that we talked about before, although I didn't talk about very well. And I, just slowly little things just started to change, and I just felt more like myself. And I thought, oh, this is great. And then we were chatting one day about, because basically I went in and said, I want more money and I want more sex.
State your objectives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm here. I invested an insane amount of money in this woman's course. It was a one-to-one transformational year.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I've got to do this. I have tried everything.
Yeah.
And when we were chatting one day about what I could do business-wise, and it was like, go back to marketing, I do the Tropic skincare, could I really go in with that? I love styling, could I do that? I was chatting away, and I put my pen down and said, do you know, I'd really love to do stand-up comedy. I did it, and carried on. And then I think it was that evening, I had an email in my inbox. I think it must have been from the Lowry, and it advertised, and it had Jane's course on it, so the Write Your Own comedy. And I thought, oh, give that a go. And then look,
Serendipity.
exactly.
That you said it that day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I put it out there to the universe, and the universe was like, oh, thank God she's realised. Bang, here you go. Here's the course you want to be doing. And in fact, the anniversary must be coming up because it was March, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That
well,
first-
I did my first one in January 2020 just before everything shut down in
Right.
person. Yeah.
So mine was booked for in person, and then it had to go on online because of COVID. And I just thought, right, if I can go from how I felt from, I would say, from probably birth, looking back, and if I can change, like I said, if I can change my life, but without having to throw it all away and go and live on a beach in Bali, then anyone can. So I thought, right. In fact, so here's another like universal moment. So then I thought, okay, so went and looked at coaching courses, and I was sat again because it was COVID. I was sat in it was like a free workshop to advertise this certain company. And I actually texted my coach, said, I'm sweating. This is so awful. This is really awful. She was like, trust the process. I was like, okay. Because they had, that music, Heather Small, what have you done today to make yourself? I was like, oh, no. Jeez. And then they put us in breakout rooms. I was like, this is what I wanted to get away from. I hated the corporate world. And I've lost my train of thought now. Anyway, and I just thought, you know what? So Caroline should if she did a coaching course, I'd well be on with that. Didn't obviously even say this to her because I didn't need to, because obviously she got the witchy vibes. Because then, I think it was that, a few months later, she then released that she was running her coaching academy. I was like, right, so I can now get a training qualification and with the person that I wanted to. So again, I feel like I manifested that.
Yeah. So that was a brave step then to make that change and decide. But I think a common theme with people who've been on the podcast is what looks brave to the outside came from a moment of there is no other choice. This is either my back's against the wall and I have to change, or I'm so driven to this purpose there is no other choice. It's the thing that is lighting me up.
Exactly. I think it is. It's the spark of bliss. I really think it is.
So do you would definitely say you've got braver as you've got older then?
I don't know. Again, I was looking at that question. I think bravery comes with the confidence of knowing that you've got to do this. Like I said, I don't have to jump out of an aeroplane. I don't. No. But I know I've got to release the comedy because I need to get the creativity out, and I need to help other people as well. I want other people to know all the stuff that I've learned. I want to share it with everybody because I want everyone to feel good.
Well, it must be really satisfying when you take someone who's in the same state as you were and then see them grow.
Absolutely. And it doesn't even take that long either. And I know I said, I went on this big long years course, and I think like if you're really committed to that change, you do need to really assess how long you it's not going to happen overnight. It's all the incremental changes. Then equally, like I've got this 8-week course of, I keep calling them guinea pigs. I need to find a better name for them, but in fact we're now on week 8 and I'm still calling them my guinea pigs.
Mini witches.
Witches,
oh, no,
ninja witches.
Ninja witches, My brain's gone off now.
Yeah, witches in training.
Pun world. But
yes.
Come back to me on that.
And again, just in 8 weeks, because they've made this intentional steps to make little changes, and they've been doing amazingly. And I think and then this comes back to the intuitive bit. It's like, then watch what then drops in. Suddenly there's and then I had this opportunity to do this. I can't believe it. Like, I can believe it because, like I said, because you put it out there. So it's just raising your vibe.
Well, I think that's the thing. There's a common misconception about manifestation of just think good thoughts and
exactly.
But it requires action.
Yes.
As well. Yes. And I guess what you're instilling in people is that combination of belief with action.
Yeah, absolutely. And really getting clear on what you do want. And also, and if you focus too much on, what you don't have, you're probably going to end up, you just end up in that cycle. My friend always used to call it the loser's loop.
I like that because it says what it does on the tin, doesn't it?
It is, but it's true because you do, and then you get into that, you're like, and I haven't got this and I haven't got that, and it's like, and and again, it's not just a case of just think positive thoughts. You have got to put the action with it, but on the woo-woo side, the positive thoughts that you have and the intentional thoughts, and like I said, knowing what you really do want, that's when it does open up for stuff to come in, and that's where you are manifesting.
Well, I think it is. I don't know if it's our generation or maybe you get to your 40s as a woman and then you start to realise very clearly what you don't want.
Yes.
And that you're not happy. I describe myself as a wafter because I have wafted through life to some degree, and it's probably only in the last few years, once I sorted my own mental health out, that I was like, no, I really want this. And one of my favourite mantras I have on my lock screen is, I am fearless in the pursuit of what sets my soul on fire.
Ooh, I like that.
And I'm like, that is it in a nutshell, because when you find something that sets you on fire, that's it, isn't it? You go for it, and then things, as you say, come to you because of it.
Exactly. And you can't stop. Like
Yeah.
you say, they're like fire. You know, just, it rages. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I like that mantra. Say it again.
I am fearless in the pursuit of what sets my soul on fire.
That's brilliant. Fearless. Yeah, I like that. Good rules to live by.
Yeah. And ties in with the bravery as well.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But bravery really comes from knowing what you want.
Yeah.
I think that's the step that people miss out. It's like, oh, I couldn't do that. Well, you know, like we just said, you can if you really want it.
Yeah.
So perhaps you don't actually really want it. But then again, there's so much noise from the world of what you may or may not want.
Yeah.
You just got to go within. Like I said, get out of your head, sink into your heart. What is it that you actually want?
Yeah. And I think that is a problem, as good as social media is for some things, the noise that social media creates. Like sometimes if you're scrolling through Instagram with the sound on the videos and it just goes from one person speaking to the next, and it's overwhelming, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, it's too much.
You've got to sort of tune out and be a bit selective, haven't you?
Absolutely. Well, I see it with the kids. You know, if they've been on the screen for 10, 15 minutes, they're wired. Because it's the same hit centre, isn't it? It's like crack.
Well, especially with like TikTok, which is like almost the 7-second attention span.
Yeah. Oh, is it 7? I thought it was 3. You have to catch them within 3, don't you?
But then it's just
watch.
a constant.
Yeah. It's awful.
Yeah.
It is awful. And like Steve Jobs never had technology in the house, did he?
No.
Didn't let his own kids have an iPad. What does that tell you?
That's typical, isn't it? Yeah.